Hello, welcome to dedoc, welcome to Doc Day here at ATTD 2021. Before we start, I apologize for the delay. We are more than 10 minutes behind in our schedule. We had some last-minute issues with the Facebook connection. Sometimes Facebook tends to be a black box. We have run numerous technical checks. Everything seemed to be working on our end with the bandwidth, with the production, with the studio. And then this Silicon Valley Facebook machine gets in the way, and we had to figure that out with our great agency and the technical support team. I hope it is working now. I hope you can all see and hear us. We're live now, almost 15 minutes too late, but we hope you're still there. And of course, this event is being recorded and you can watch it later. So let me restart. Welcome to dedoc. Welcome to Doc Day. My name is Bastian Haug. I am the founder of the dedoc community. I am the CEO of dedoc Labs, which is the company behind it. It's the company that funds all of dedoc's activities. If you have never heard of dedoc, if you don't know who we are, in one sentence, it is a community of diabetes patient advocates. It is originally originated in Germany about 10 years ago. It is today probably the largest real online community of advocates in diabetes in Europe. And as of last year, with COVID having hit, we have gone truly international, and you will see that over the next 1 or 2 hours. I truly look forward to this event. I truly look forward to the presentations, to your questions if they come in via Facebook, etc., and to what we're doing. This is our 11th International Doc Day. I'm not counting all the local small meetups and meetings and restaurant visits that we also called Doc Day 15 plus years ago. This is our 11th Doc Day. We started 2015 at EASD in Stockholm, and we've been running Doc Day every single year since then at EASD. Then 3 years ago, we started at ATTD, and then last year, with COVID already there, we went live at ISPAD in a virtual way. So Doc Day has always been an event where we gathered patient advocates, diabetes advocates, who would already be at one of these 3 major diabetes conferences, however they got there, got in, etc. And we just get a small cafe or get a room later on, or later got a bit nicer, bigger room to get them all together and say, hey, you know, at these conferences where HCPs and researchers and industry people speak to the world of researchers and industry and HCPs and also us, how about we take this 1-2 hours and turn it around and we talk amongst ourselves, or we tell them while we feel what we do in advocacy, what we think, hope, feel, fear, love, dream of. And that's what we did. That's what we did at Doc Day. We did it at these conferences, and then since last year, we've been doing it live, virtual. For us, COVID has been, in one way or the other, almost like a big fortune, because we've been able to scale this event. When we started, we were 20, 30 people in a cafe in Stockholm. The biggest real EASD event we had was EASD in Berlin some 2 years ago, where, because our room was way too small, we just happened to crash the conference room of Novo Nordisk, which was right next door, and had 150, 170 people there. And since we went virtual last year, I stopped counting. Thousands and thousands of people we've reached around the world. And what is more important, people from all over the world, like today, like over the next 2 hours, joining us to present. I don't want to talk too much about it because you will see what Doc Day is right now over the next minutes and 2 hours. And without further ado, I would like to give the word to Tadej Bartolino. He is the chairperson of ATTD. Tadej, thank you for having us. Thank you for hosting us. Thank you for hosting the dedoc Voices. Your words are welcome. Tadej Bartolino.
Thank you very much, Bastian. I am the one who should thank, probably, because I read the chat and Nina wrote, I hope I don't get hypo during the meeting, which really tells me how different the world is with diabetes and reminds me what I see day after day. This year, we already had 47 new young people with type 1 diabetes, and 2/3 of them are in preschool age. So this trend of younger and younger people becoming, I think, hostage of this type 1 diabetes for life at the moment actually is terrifying me. Thank you very much for being courageous enough to appear, to speak, to advocate what is needed, and to help us understand how we can better serve you. For years, actually, pediatricians were likely closer to people with diabetes because this is the way we work with children, but there is ample room for improvement. And I'm really grateful for your activities, for your input, and particularly for your enthusiasm to support the development of science and then to transfer of this to as quick as possibly to people with diabetes. The mission of ATTD from the very beginning 14 years ago was to speed up the process in between bench to bed, as we say in slang. This was very slow, particularly in technology, but also in several innovative medicines. And we have a feeling that this time lag actually has shortened considerably, also thanks to your advocacy and support. So I would really like to thank you again. Be courageous, speak, tweet. I can't believe how many tweets, millions already in the first day. Thank you very much. This is the way to inform people and convey positive and good news. And I do hope, particularly with the European Innodia project that you mentioned, Chantal, from last year or 2 years ago, that she's running, we now have 4 intervention trials in our center in simultaneously ongoing. There is huge enthusiasm and hope. And if you want dream, because I'm known to be a dreamer, that yes, we will help with technology and artificial intelligence will reduce the burden, but at some point, we will be able to cure this disease and even maybe prevent it, which certainly is something that I would like to see, even if I get very old by then, but I certainly would like to see and then celebrate with all of you. Thank you very much again for inviting me to your event, and thank you for being with us and for being here to advocate for what is very important.
Thank you, Tadej. Thank you for taking this valuable time off your super busy schedule. I know as a chairperson of the largest conference in the world on diabetes and tech, you have a lot of things on your mind these couple of days, but having you here for these words of welcome means the world to us. And it sends a strong signal out there that the world is indeed changing one tweet at a time, as we say, because of you allowing people like us, people with diabetes, diabetes advocates, to be not only looking over the fence, reading what kind of scientific papers may be published in half a year, but having us at this conference where it happens, joining in, being allowed to ask questions, converse with the researchers directly. It means the world to us, and it sends a strong signal out there also to the other conference organizers like EASD and ISPAD who are joining the same path, maybe also to ADA, who just a couple of weeks ago said no when we asked if we could join them with European advocates to report back what's happening in the US. To Europe, ADA didn't even listen to it. We had a Zoom call set up and nobody even showed up to the Zoom call. But hey, you know me, I don't take no for an answer. We will ask again next year, one tweet at a time. Thank you very much for having us. This means the world to us. And you were, by the way, when I asked you for the first time 2.5 years ago, you didn't even hesitate for a second. You reverted back to me within, I think, an hour to my first email, and you said, how many tickets do you need? And we're here with 25 at ATTD. Tadej Batilinu, chairperson of ATTD. If you can stay for a little bit longer, feel very, very welcome. If you have to run off, I perfectly understand. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you.
Now, as I said in the beginning, this is Doc Day, International Doc Day number 11. It is ATTD Doc Day number 3. The first 2 have been real. The last Doc Day was the last Doc Day ever that was in person, because it was the last Doc Day where we were in Madrid, where everything was still normal. It was the last week before COVID. So when we flew to Madrid with 23 diabetes advocates that through the dedoc Voices program. For the first time ever, it was our pilot, had been funded. We paid for their flights, we paid for the hotel, not a 5-star, just a hostel, some shared an Airbnb. That was the last time we did this live. Towards the end of Doc Day, at the end of ATTD, first people, especially those from Italy, got funny phone calls and ran off to fly home early to make it home to their loved ones because some rare disease was hitting the ground and things changed. And as I think in some way, it's been really, really tough. I really miss seeing all of you in person. I miss being at a conference like ATTD or EASD or ISPED or whatever. I miss seeing real friends. It's been a long, hard winter and a long year and a bit. But we'll be there again. And for DDoc and for Doc Day, in a way, as I said in the beginning, it has been almost fortunate because all of you out there joining us from wherever you are. ATTD Anywhere is also a hashtag that ATTD is using. Doc Day is now anywhere. It's on your sofa, in your garden, in your house. It's noontime here in Copenhagen and Berlin. It's in the middle of the night in Australia, and we have 2 guests from Australia. It might be early in the morning for you on the west coast of the US, or late in the afternoon, evening if you're joining from India, Pakistan, and we'll have speakers from there as well. So wherever you are, welcome again. I just want to give a very quick outlook, and then we jump right in. Doc Day this year, we'll have another one at EASD. We'll have another one at ISPAT. We'll have 3 Doc Days on World Diabetes Day. This was new last year. We have never done that before. We ran a Doc Day. We actually ran all of World Diabetes Day in Germany live, virtual, last year on 14th of November, because the real World Diabetes Day that I have been planning with the German Diabetes Association, where I'm also on the board, we had to cancel because Germany was going back into a hard lockdown. So we ran virtual World Diabetes Day and virtual Doc Day on November 14. This year, November 14, we'll be doing this 3 times. We will be running virtual World Diabetes Day for all of Germany. We will be running a European edition of World Diabetes Day with a European Doc Day in collaboration with IDF Europe. And we will be running an international Doc Day on the 14th of November on the topic of insulin for all. Insulin for all meaning access to care worldwide. We're not talking insulin for all as you might have heard or read about it mostly on social media over the last couple of years, where it's been mostly very US-centric and very, let's say, pharma bashing at times. It will be on the motto of what insulin for all used to mean when it started. The motto behind insulin for all was put the world back in World Diabetes Day. It's going to be about access to care. It's going to be about countries, regions, people around the world that suffer from diabetes and lack of access to care, which includes insulin, technology, nurses, hospitals, doctors, whatever it is. And we really look forward to this. We really look forward to having you join us. If you want to participate in any way, as a speaker, with a project you want to present, as a sponsor, as a partner, as a friend, or just join us and listen in, please reach out to us. We are starting to put together the program right now. World Diabetes Day, Doc Day, on Insulin for All, the international edition, on European edition with IDF Europe, and in Germany we'll run World Diabetes Day. Weltdiabetestag.de is the domain for that. That's just the outlook for next year. Now, right now we are at ATTD 2021 and Doc Day, and we already talked about the dedoc Voices. And it is my great honor to now welcome Renza Shibilia from Australia. Renza is one of the most prolific and known patient diabetes advocates around the world. She runs one of the largest blogs in this world on diabetes, diabetogenic.wordpress.com. I know she doesn't like me introduce her like that, but it is the truth. More than 1,000 blog posts spanning over a decade. She's also a very good personal close friend, and she is, of course, the chair of our community advisory board here at DDoc. Renza, please tell us your perspective on the DDoc Voices, because you've helped us create it. You've been to every single Doc Day since we started at EASD at this small co-working place in 2015. Take it away, Renza.
Thanks, Bastian. I've been at all of them, and I'm usually horribly jet lagged when I show up, and I don't even have that excuse now if if no one can understand what I'm saying. But I'm so thrilled to be here, as I always am, and I'm especially thrilled to be able to talk about dedoc voices. One of the most important pieces of work I think that I've been involved in has been ensuring that the voice of people with diabetes is loud, very present, and you know, can't be missed, I guess, at scientific conferences. But it's hard for us to get there. We have to find a way to get there. And that's what dedoc Voices does. So in Madrid last year, it was the first time that we had a community-based initiative where people were able to apply for a scholarship. It covered their accommodation costs, their travel costs, and their registration costs so that they could actually attend the conference and share what they were learning and what they were hearing with their own community. And that's what's really important. I know I have the most fantastic healthcare professionals who do attend these sorts of conferences, but in that very limited time that I have with them, it's like 4 hours a year, I think, on average, that we get to spend with our healthcare team. We don't have time for my endocrinologist to sit there and tell me what she's learnt. I hear that, though, mostly from other people with diabetes who are at these conferences. So dedoc Voices has brilliantly found a way for people with diabetes to be able to attend, to walk the halls, which is what we did in Madrid, but we're doing that now virtually, and we'll be back when we come back live, and we will be we'll be there again. And what it does is it not only gives the people there the opportunity to network, to meet with other people, to consider the advocacy that we're doing, it also means that our communities are richer because they're hearing what's going on, and they're hearing it from us. And we speak in a different way to our wonderful healthcare professionals. We sort of break things down into a way that makes sense. It helps our diabetes make sense. Don't take my word for it. I have been fortunate enough to attend these conferences for some time as part of my day job. I work for Diabetes Australia. But I think it's probably a really great idea if we hear from a couple of people who have been dedoc Voices. So I think we'll start with you, Laura. Can you just really briefly, I guess, just give us a couple of the highlights of what being a dedoc Voice has meant for you?
Yes, hi everyone. Thank you so much, Renza. So I'm Laura from Switzerland, and I've been type 1 for 14 years. And this is my second time attending ATTD thanks to the dedoc Voices scholarship program. So attending last year, the first time, has been a truly life-changing experience for me. Being in a place where healthcare providers form opinions that have lasting impacts on patients worldwide without representation of the patient perspective was really alienating, to be honest. And that feeling never quite left me. So they were talking about us, but without us. But in the end, we are the ones impacted by the decision-making at conferences like ATTD. So we need to have a seat at the table. So that experience actually lit a fire in me, and I decided to quit my job in event management to pursue a career in diabetes. So that would never have been possible without dedoc. So thank you so much for dedoc for giving me this opportunity, and to Mr. Battellino for giving us the tickets to ATTD. And I'll just truly be forever grateful for this opportunity.
Laura, it's such an amazing tale, and thank you so much for sharing that. And Adriana, let's hear from you. I think that you've got a really interesting story to share as well.
Well, actually, my story is kind of an interesting, because preparing my small speech for this event, I actually asked myself, how did it happen that I started to be in the dedoc? And I found that the first message I got was an invitation in 2019 out of nowhere from Bastian, just to take part in dedoc Voices. And then I replied to him that unfortunately I won't be there in Barcelona, and I'm really sorry, and I hope I will one day be able and be lucky enough to participate in EASD or ATTD. And actually 2 days later, I received a mail from him saying that there is an opportunity that one medical, I think it was Novo Nordisk, that Novo Nordisk actually would fly us to Madrid, to Barcelona, just like this. And he just like this sent this message to people who he didn't know. And I even wrote him. I remember I wrote him and I told him, are you sure that this is a real opportunity? And it turned out that it was a real opportunity. And then I really wanted to take part in EASD, and he didn't even hesitate for a second to help me out, to try to do everything he could for me. And I was able to attend my first dedoc day, and it was an amazing experience because I've met so many people. I've met actually my like people I was looking up to every single day on social media, etc., etc. And I was really amazed. And I understood that I didn't know anything about diabetes advocacy. I was like a small baby, and I was actually given like wings, and I was starting to learn to fly just looking at dedoc voices, at people who speak, who have a big voice, and who actually understand what they say. Because I was thinking, oh, what I say is important. Well, I was very wrong. And every single time we meet, every single time I listen to you, I understand how I can grow with the program. And it's an amazing opportunity. And the fact that you don't hesitate, you don't choose only specific per people, and the program is open for everyone. This is like the huge opportunity. And I think that's what makes it best.
Thank you so much. One of the things that we frequently hear from people is, how do I get to these conferences? I would love to be there. Well, this is an opportunity. So anybody who's watching, please keep an eye out on dedoc Voices. We promote ourselves everywhere. You can't miss us if you're in the diabetes community. For the rest of ATTD, keep watching, because most of the tweets, as Bastian already said, are coming from the people who are dedoc Voices this year. It is coming from the community. And I'm going to end with just one of my absolute favorite sayings, because I think it is so, so critical. Nothing about us without us. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Adriana. Thank you, Renza. I don't want to add anything but say thank you also for you two, Laura, Adriana, I want to thank you for saying thank you, because you don't hear thank yous in this community that often. And as you can imagine, running dedoc Voices, setting it all up, it took us 3 years. It was a hell lot of work, but I think it's all worth it. And the only thing I can say maybe is, since I created dedoc in 2010, and since it has grown over time, and since we are now turning into a little bit more of an organization maybe, two things have not changed. The one thing is, for Renza, the hashtag, she just mentioned it as an ending, is nothing about us without us, and I fully subscribe to it. Another hashtag that is important in the community is the We Are Not Waiting one. It is more specific for the DIY community and the artificial pancreas community, and you might have heard of the Open Project, which we had at ATTD presented last year. We're not going to go back in this time around, but we are still running that with dedoc and with many, many partners from around the world. And the founding hashtag of dedoc has always been Pay It Forward. And Pay It Forward speaks to what you were just saying. dedoc understands itself to be a platform for others to stand on. It's not about me, it's not about the tweets we put out. You will not see dedoc put out strong, opinionated messages itself. It's rather that we try and amplify what we register is important to you. So whenever you have something you really care about, if you include the hashtag dedoc, the likelihood is we may see it, and if we think this is a good message to share, then we will share, retweet, make sure our community retweets, and this is what we're seeing at ATTD right now, that these 25 dedoc Voices and our almost 100 alumni out there kind of follow each other, tweet each other, push each other forward, making the patient voice here so strong. Thank you, Renza, for putting it all together. Thank you, Adriana, Laura, speaking on behalf of the now almost 100 dedoc Voices. One last thing, because Renza said it, if you're out there and you're interested, we have a standard rule for applications to the dedoc Voices program. So we had 25 tickets for ATTD. We have been promised 100 tickets for EASD. We always split them. 50% of the tickets we receive are for our ever-growing group of alumni, and 50% of the tickets we always reserve to people we have never seen before. because we think it is important that this community grows, that this community sees new people come in, like Laura, like Adriana, who never had the chance before, so that they, how did you say it? That they grow wings, that they join us, that they increase this, that the group grows bigger. So 50% of every single ticket we get, 50% of the funding we get, will always be reserved for people who haven't had the chance to join in this virtual world. And we really look forward to real doc days and real conferences again. And next time, wherever the next real conference will be, we will fly you in and go party afterwards, as we used to. I look forward to that. Talking about platforms, another platform recently launched and also directed at everybody now watching from the patient community, but also everybody who is interested in not only research, but also entrepreneurial, approaches towards the diabetes world, is at DCB. It's the Innovation Challenge at DCB, the Diabetes Center in Bern. The Diabetes Center in Bern joined us this year, not only for this doc day, but for all of the year 2021, as our what we call strategic community partner. And we've been working together quite a bit on their Innovation Challenge and will continue to do so. Before talking about that, I am very, very happy to hand over to their CEO, Dedoc Brandt, and to Maren Schins. Maren, by the way, some of you will know, because Maren not only is a patient entrepreneur herself, she's the founder of My Sugar Case. The most beautiful bags for insulin pens, pumps, etc. are from her little company she started a couple of years ago. Maren is also a former dedoc voice. Maren is also a former employee of dedoc and dedoc Labs, because last year we ran Virtual Doc Day, ESD, ISPAD, and World Diabetes Day. It was her behind the Facebook answering all your questions and comments. Maren, we miss you, but we are very happy to have you rejoin us now from the other side. Dedoc Brandt, Maren Schins, the DCB, and their Innovation Challenge.
Yeah, thank you, Bastian, and welcome and hello everybody from Switzerland. And Bastian, by the way, at the moment, my glucose is also stable. That is as a side note. I just want to give you some brief information about the Diabetes Center Bern before Maren goes into this Innovation Challenge. The Diabetes Center Bern is a foundation based on 3 pillars. The first one is innovation, and Maren will talk about that. Then we have the booster program. We want to help startups, young companies, and to become bigger and bring their products closer to the market. And this is underlined by, we just recently founded the Swiss Diabetes Venture Fund, and we filled that with 50 million euro to support startup companies in the area of diabetes technology. And then the third pillar is actually clinical trials. We have an own clinical trial unit, and together with the University Hospital of Bern, we can run in-house as well as outpatient clinical studies to support our work. Well, how do we do this? One is actually we have a very experienced team filled with experts, but also with users. As you can see, Maren is also a kind of a user. And we are also establishing this year 3 professorships in the area of diabetes technology, specifically in continuous glucose monitoring, closed loop systems, and algorithms. Well, what I always think is that, and being a user myself, I think a lot of these devices have been designed from engineers for engineers. And we need to change this. We need to engage with the users and to develop easy to use systems in the future. And as you heard today said, that we were able to shorten the time from bench to bed. And actually our aim is to speed up the phase from bed to users. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Basti, also from my side for your introduction, for your kind introduction, for the opportunity to be here today among all these great ambassadors from around the world. So it's really an honor to be back. I have missed you too, but today I am here because I joined the DCB as innovation manager to find new solutions for a better living with diabetes. Because in the last few years, I think we have we have in the field of diabetes technology an enormous progress, but however, there's still great unmet needs to find a solution for. So at the DCB, we want to listen to these unmet needs, and we want to hear about everyone's ideas and turn them into solutions. So we have exciting news today. So we have launched our new innovation platform and our new innovation challenge that we want to ask this year for ideas if your idea can change glucose measurement forever. So it's really a big challenge. We want to invite you in. The winner can take home $100,000 US. We have a great mentoring program for, on the one hand, bring ideas to life, but on the other hand, also support currently running projects or startups. So we want to support them with funding, with our facilities, with research. And of course, it's absolutely also interesting, I think, for all of ones that are out there with ideas, your idea stays with you. So we are not interested in IP rights. We want to be a safe harbor for your idea. So this is really at your place. And if you now ask yourself, where do I fit in here? Next slide, please. We want to absolutely stay clear, whether you're a startup, a healthcare professional, a researcher, or you are someone living with diabetes and you have an insight or an idea into how to improve the life of living with diabetes, we want to hear about you. We want to hear from you. Please join our open call for ideas and be part of our innovative community. And such a community needs, of course, a place where we can discuss and where we can meet. So we have created an online platform, which you can see on the next slide, where we want really to identify and implement and scale innovative ideas, but a place also for startups, mentors, for the diabetes community all over the world, where you can introduce yourself, where we can meet, where you can find co-founders, but also get great insights from experts from around the world in our sessions, in our experts and innovation sessions. And last but not least, absolutely important, where you can raise your questions and your unmet needs in our community forum. So if you're now asking what to do now, we want really to invite you to our new platform where we want to discuss these ideas, where we want to work on these ideas together with you. Please register on our platform and be part of a worldwide growing community. Or if you have really an idea of how to change glucose monitoring, glucose measurement forever, or in the meantime, on shorthand, please submit your idea in our innovation challenge. Because our goal is really, like also Renza has mentioned before, and also you, Basti, our goal is to build new innovation with us and with you as people with diabetes and not without us. So we hope we see you all on our platform, and we hope to meet you all in the future. And thank you for your time.
Presenting the challenge. Thank you, Dedoc, for presenting the DCB and what's behind it. I also want to say that we are very, very honored that you reached out to us to be your community outreach partner, that we can maybe a little bit help you promote it now, the call for the first round of applications for the pilot right now. But as I said in the beginning, you also asked us to join you for EASD, where you will be presenting the shortlisted 25 candidates that may go on, and for World Diabetes Day, where you will present the final winner who is going to go through your booster program, etc. And one thing I would like to add, because it sometimes gets lost in translation, Martin, yes, right now the challenge is primarily about glucose measurement, but in general the platform is open for anybody from the diabetes and especially from the patient entrepreneur community with whatever crazy dream or idea or challenge or thing you have in mind. Put it out there. You will find other people who might relate. It is also a networking building. It is a platform, as I said in the beginning. And maybe the next challenge will be different. Maybe you can continue to work together outside of the official formal challenge that is on right now. You will also find great support that is not directly part of that challenge thing where you could win $100,000, but that is maybe worth much more. I personally have signed on as a mentor there, so if you have any questions regarding community engagement, I'll be there. Hanne, our operations manager at dedoc, is online. If you have any questions regarding operations and finances, I personally vouch for her. She is amazing. But I'm sure there's many other great mentors on there. So Derek and Cordelia also, and Martin, thank you very much for not only for running this, for being so inclusive, for reaching out to the community, but also for reaching out through us to the dedoc and the doc out there.
Thank you.
Beautiful. With that, we now start the real part of Doc Day and go through very quick, as always, 5-minute presentations from diabetes advocates from all over the world who will present their projects, ideas, things they work on, their advocacy work. And we start in France, and it is my great honor to welcome Delphine and La Boucle du Diabète. Delphine, what's it all about?
Hello, everyone. So I'm Delphine from France, and I'm the founder of World Diabetes Tour and Type 1 Running Team, which are two Type 1 community. And since 2015, we have organized La Boucle du Diabète in Paris. But because of the COVID situation, now we turned it on a virtual race. And this year, the dedoc Voice team joined the race. And that's why today I would love to invite you all to join the Boucle du Diabète, run and walk and bike around where you live to raise awareness towards diabetes. I think it's a great opportunity just to federate other people with diabetes or not, type 1 or type 2. Just spend time with your friends and family, dress blue, and make noise towards diabetes, because it's always a good opportunity mixing running, walking, and hanging up with friends. Right now, we are 3,500 runners and walkers around the globe. So it's a very good news. We start on Monday, and we will have the Boucle du Diabète till Saturday night. So please feel free to join the team. Just you go on the website of Type 1 Running Team, and you just have to register for 5K, 10K marathon if you want to, 6-day challenge. And just spread the word, pay it forward. And I really think that we can make something great all together. And like the team of dedoc Voices, there are 23 people, and so far they have already ran 150K. So it's a great job, and I really hope that the team will grow up and we will make all together noise around the globe. So thank you, Bastian, and thank you all for your support of my French event, but it's turned globally now. So thank you very much.
Delphine, thank you. And it is great to see how this strange COVID world, as much as it hurts all of us, has provided opportunity for some, like La Boucle du Diabète, moving out of Paris, out of France, to now be a global enterprise with 3,500 participants and the dedoc Voices team. I love the fact that out of 25 registered dedoc Voices, 23 have signed up. I have signed up as well, although I must admit I'm cheating a bit. I'm only logging the few kilometers I take by bike from my boat, where I currently live on, to the TV studio and back. I'm not really doing sports yet, but there's still a couple of days to go. So thank you, Delphine, for that. We stick to the topic of diabetes and sport and how it can do good for you. And we move to Croatia. I welcome Ines from Croatia, Sports, Diabetes, and the EU Erasmus program. Ines, welcome.
Hello to everyone. So yeah, my name is Ines, and I'm here to represent to you the essence of the sports and diabetes. project that is co-funded by the Erasmus program from the European Union. So I will take you back 5 years ago when I started to be a local advocate in the Croatia, and I got a lot of questions from the parents who were telling me that they cannot participate in the sport because the coach doesn't know anything about diabetes and they don't want to train kids. So I was thinking, what can I do about that point? At that point, I would say I'm not blaming them because everything that there is online on the type of sports and diabetes, it's everything written from a doctor to a doctor. And it's not there for the coach to take out and to understand what is the essence of the sports and diabetes team. So at that point, I had a lot of contacts from the sport clubs as I'm a former athlete. And I asked them to participate in the sport project that will be on the sports and diabetes, of course, and they loved the idea. So we're managing this, we wrote the project and we got approval and we are running on, and the project will be lasting till the end of 2022. So the main objective of the project is for equal opportunities in sport and to address the fact that every person with diabetes can participate in the sport as on the same way as they're doing it without diabetes, and of course to reduce the fears that are leading to excluding kids with diabetes. Our target groups are primarily kids and youth living with diabetes type 1 and their parents, and of course kids, coaches and PE teachers. What we will do with this project. So primarily there is a thing to do with handbook, which will lead with a few leaflets that kids can take out and show to their coach what is the most important thing to know about diabetes. And of course, the open source e-learning platform, especially for coaches, that they can understand the matter of diabetes in sport. How you can participate in this project? You can visit us. You can visit us on our website, which is sportsanddiabetes.eu. And if you are a part of these target groups, or if you know anybody who is a part of this target group, please spread around the survey and take the first step that will show us what are the fears of doing sports and diabetes and what is the most important thing to know and to understand about diabetes. Thank you.
Ines, thank you very much for presenting this project. What I find amazing is that you have been creating this, co-creating this, got partners on board, got sports clubs on board, but then also got funding from the European Union on board. It seems so daunting sometimes, but you show that it can be done, right? You need to read a lot of small print and paragraphs, etc. But you were just a girl from Croatia starting this out with others then reaching out, and you managed all this. You should actually sign up to what we just saw before, the DCB as a mentor, because I think it's amazing what you achieved in such a short time span just by being smart about it, reaching out, talking to others, getting advice, and not being scared of this big European animal out there in Brussels, but taking advantage of it and in the end getting all of that support. And it's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was Ines from Croatia with the Diabetes and Sports Erasmus program. We go to another great athlete who some of you may know from the diabetes community. It is my honor to welcome Martje. Martje Roskams from, I actually don't know where you are right now, Martje. I know that you work with IDF Europe. I am a board member with IDF Europe. If some of you may know, Martje has been supporting us for a long time. She has been in charge of our youth leadership camps which we had to cancel due to COVID, then turned it into virtual, as we did with Doc Day, etc., and did the Youth Leadership Lab last year. And Marcia was the fantastic person making that work on a platform called Discord and Zoom calls, etc. But Marcia, that's not what we're talking about today. You are also a very active athlete, and you have been hit by COVID. And it is, we don't want to do this to scare people, but you know, we have all been, as people with diabetes, been a bit afraid of what COVID would mean for us. And you're just going to share a little bit of your own experience. Marcia.
Hi, Bastian. Thank you so much for giving us the great opportunity to join dedoc with this amazing scholarship. So as Bastian told, I am Marcia Roskams and I'm tuning in from Belgium. So, you know, unfortunately, I'm just in Belgium. And currently I'm working at IDF Europe. So for me, the story goes way back, of course, as it is for a lot of people with diabetes, I guess. I lived in quite a major fear of contracting a COVID infection, not because people with diabetes are more likely to contract it, but just because of the impact and the consequences that it can have on your body and a lot of other things. For example, COVID or an infection in general can cause ketoacidosis, which is a quite severe and a scary situation. And the moment I received my positive COVID test, I freaked out big time because I guess most of it was the build-up anxiety of catching COVID and also for the consequences it could have in my direct environment. So it might even make the outcome of my first days worse or my first sick days worse. And at the worst point, for me, it was too difficult to walk from my bed to the toilet. In the first days, I wasn't able to sit straight, to have like a proper food and drink intake. And I was also alone in my student room. And obviously I had support from people around me, but the quarantine and the lack of food and fluids made me really scared of developing ketoacidosis and also not reaching proper health on time. So the confrontation with the fact that I'm young, I'm healthy and sportive, I'm just 24 years old, and the COVID infection knocked me down completely. And I expected to be worse because I'm living with diabetes, but I never thought that it could be like that. So I'm still alive, I'm still recovering, but I'm safe, I'm good. But it took a really long time to recover from it. So the moment I started to do cardiorespiratory revalidation at the physiotherapist, it gave me hope to recover properly and again get my life back on track. But still, sometimes I feel the consequences of COVID, and it's already 3 months ago. And for me, I guess the take-it-home message by telling this, again, I do not want to scare people, but it is so important to still respect all the COVID measurements. And although life seems to get normal, it's so important to still respect that. But most of it, I also feel that it's the responsibility of policymakers and the government to prioritize young people, also young people with type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes, but this is more likely an older population, but to take them in consideration and give them priority in the vaccination strategy. Because it made me so sad that young people with diabetes were not seen as a priority in a lot of countries. It's not because we are not likely to die as a young person that the consequences can be major on your own body, but also on the healthcare system, because catching ketoacidosis can be so dangerous. And it's not only our body or the fear or the chance that you might die from it, but also the consequences on the healthcare system are major. So that was my experience with COVID.
Marcia, thanks for sharing. And as you were saying, you were scared from the beginning. And we had a conversation about that. And I said, why are you scared? You were 23 at the time. And I remember last year you did a 1,500 kilometer bike ride to raise awareness for diabetes, and I was like, come on, you are probably the most likely to, even if you get it, be knocked out by it. And then exactly that happened. So yeah, I think it is important, your take-home message, that we're not done yet. And in some places it might feel that way now with things opening up. Here where I am now in Copenhagen, it's some people still wear masks going into restaurants, but that's it. In Berlin, we're still just coming out of lockdown. I know in Australia, people are going back into lockdown just because of a very few cases. But other parts of the world are still very, very much affected by COVID as we speak. And it's not going to be over anytime soon. And it will continue to be a risk factor for everybody out there, but for us maybe a little bit more so than for others. With that being said, Marci, thank you very much for sharing a bit of your personal fears and stories, but also the important take-home message. And with that, we go to one of the regions where COVID still is a major, major issue. We're now going to our friends at the Blue Circle Foundation in India. As I said in the beginning, COVID has helped dedoc and Doc Day to go truly international and establish this beautiful partnership. You were already here at the Doc Days at ISPAT last year. I welcome Nupur, Snehal, and Rohan from different parts of India from the Blue Circle Diabetes Foundation. Please take it away and tell us what's it like right now in India. How are you doing?
Thank you, Bastian. Hello, everyone. I'm Nupur from India, and I've been T1 for the last 26 years. I'm the founder at Blue Circle Diabetes Foundation. And today, like Bastian said, I'm here with my friends and community leaders, Snehal and Rohan. It's an honor to present here at Doc Day and attend the wonderful ATTD conference as dedoc Voices. I would like to thank Bastian, Hannah, the whole dedoc team, as well as Dr. Tade, for creating this opportunity for people around the world to learn, to represent the community, and like they say, to pay it forward to the same community that's helped us. And because there's really nothing about us without us. So quickly, in the next 60 seconds, I'm going to tell you what we do at Blue Circle and what is the diabetes technology situation here in India. So Blue Circle Diabetes Foundation is a community-led nonprofit organization, and we work in diabetes awareness and advocacy of all types. India, our home country, is home to more than 77 million people with diabetes. Here you see on the screen a snapshot of the things we do at the organization. Before COVID, we used to meet up regularly. We run a diabetes and mental health helpline called the Buddy Project Helpline, which is available on our mobile app. We also do sessions for women with diabetes and lots of other fun stuff on social media as well. Next slide, please. Thank you. Diabetes technology in India is, well, limited at best, and it's not accessible for everyone because of the costs. We do not have universal health coverage here in India, so everything that is an expense related to diabetes is out of pocket for us. I have to say diabetes technology has been life-changing for me personally, using a CGM. I also use an insulin pump. These have been wonderful things, but we recognize that for people that cannot access these things, diabetes tech is not a necessity. Having access to insulin and test strips becomes the immediate, important thing. Lots of things like the Dexcom or various other pump companies do not have a presence in India. So what you see on the screen also is a word called jugaad. It's a word in Hindi, which means to make the most of what you have. And that's really what we do in our community. We help people understand how to make do with the technology at hand. So a lot of us here use the Libre Pro. I'm aware that the Libre is available in Europe and many other parts of the world. But a lot of us use the Libre Pro because, it's more affordable. And yeah, you can see it right there on the screen. And I also use the meow meow along with it. So we talk to our community and we help them understand how to use all of these technologies to reduce the burden of diabetes. I'm going to pass it over to Snehal now.
Hi everyone, this is Snehal and I've been living with type 1 diabetes since the last 19 years. And I am here to talk about a project that is very close to my heart and I feel grateful to be a part of it. We started this project called as Project Gaia, which is an initiative under the Blue Circle Diabetes Foundation, and where we mainly focus on women's health and women empowerment. And what started as a very small idea, we started with just having one workshop on having a general talk where women living with diabetes came together, talked with each other, and we had a very minimum registrations of around 30 to 35 people. And now a year when we are into when we started with Project Gaia, we see registrations of around 200 plus people, and that is a very happy and overwhelming response for us. So why we started Project Gaia is because in India, for women especially, along with the financial, physical, and emotional impact that living with diabetes has, we also have to deal with a lot of social and psychological impact. And there are a lot of topics which are considered as taboo and not talked about in the open as much. So we wanted to create a safe space for women living with diabetes wherein they could talk about issues or concerns or their questions with fellow community members as well as healthcare experts. And we have been more than happy and we feel extremely proud to have conducted monthly workshops. Like every month we have one workshop which is focused on Project Gaia and focuses on women's health and issues. And can we move on to the next slide? And we just have a small photograph of the women who have joined us on our sessions, and we have conducted a lot of sessions throughout the year. Can we have the next slide, please? Yeah. So as you can see, we have me and Nupur on the screen over there, and we have conducted a lot of sessions talking about menstruation and how it affects your blood sugars, as well as planning pregnancy with diabetes, menopause with diabetes, and we also conducted a few mental health care workshops, like the power of saying no. And initially, we were a little hesitant of conducting a workshop on mental health with women because we didn't feel a lot of women would be open to joining this session, but we saw a lot of registrations of women joining in and asking their concerns to a therapist who was there on the workshop with us. And we have just listed down the different workshops that we have had, and it has been a phenomenal journey. And we wish to continue this and empower women living with diabetes in India. So I will hand it over to Rohan now.
Hi everyone, this is Rohan. I am living in type 1 since the last 11 years. So we launched this diabetes and mental health helpline last year during lockdown. The helpline is run by 12 volunteers who are themselves living with diabetes, T1, T2. The volunteers were trained by Center for Mental Health and a hospital in India. Next slide, please. So we have received over 1,000 calls in the last 1 year, and we speak multiple languages, more than 9 languages. Next slide, please. So the calls are booked in our in-house Blue Circle Diabetes app, which is available both in iOS and Android. I am myself a volunteer and have received calls from remote places in India where information is not easily available, and people do send us testimonials and they are happy that someone is there to listen. Next slide, please. So this picture is from one of our runs last year. Though we haven't met physically anyone since the last year, but a helpline like this helps keep us connected. So thank you everyone. Back to Bastian.
And thank you very, very much for this beautiful presentation. I love the word, Nupur, that you introduced, Yugad, making the most out of the limited resources you have. I can imagine that not only in places like India, but in many, many places around the world, this is important. And thank you for stressing what you did in the very beginning, Nupur, you know, the need of access to care that is maybe not the most high tech, but that is sometimes the very, very basics, the insulin, the test strips, and whatever whatever in between you can get your hands on and you have the finances for. I've lived in southern India, in Tamil Nadu, for quite a while, many, many years ago. I was taking care of a small school hours away from Chennai. I was taking care of a leprosy village as well. I know the people who get by with less than $1 a day. I could imagine that if you develop diabetes in those kind of circumstances, it's going to be very, very different from anything any of us can even relate to or imagine. And last point, 1,000 calls in a year through your volunteer buddy project. This is truly amazing. This is peer support on a really, really great level. Of course, in a huge country with 77 million people with diabetes, as you pointed out. That's almost the entire population of Germany. Thank you very much to India and to the three of you. Keep up the good work, and I definitely hope to see you at our virtual Doc Day on World Diabetes Day International Edition, when we will talk about access to care and insulin for all. With that, we are going to Africa. We're going to Zimbabwe, and it is my great honor to welcome a new dedoc voice, Tino Tenda from Zimbabwe. Because internet connection to Zimbabwe may be tricky, we have decided, or he has asked, if he could record his introductory statement. It's just 3 minutes, so we will play that first and then see if we can link down to Zimbabwe and have him here to say hello quickly on a live call. Let's start with a video, Hanne, please.
Thank you for having me. Greetings, friends, family, and alumni. Allow me to briefly describe to you the services that we offer to the people living with diabetes in Zimbabwe. So I've been working with Zimbabwe Diabetes Association, where we are helping our communities to ease the burden of living with diabetes. So the projects that we offer are diabetes education. With diabetes education, we used to conduct online physical meetings, but right now we have social platforms where we are helping our patients with the help of our voluntary doctors in the platforms. And also we have people who volunteer to write articles, and they can share on newspapers or even their personal blogs, and then they will share so that everybody else can have access to it. Also, on healthcare grounds, thanks to the Life for a Child for the services that they extend to the people of Zimbabwe, every child living with diabetes from 25 years and below, they do have insulin, they get syringes, and they also get the devices to monitor their blood sugars each and every day. And thanks to the direct relief for the extended hand, where now people living with type 2 diabetes are now getting metformin for free of charge, provided they are members of Zimbabwe Diabetes Association. And for more services to come are the hypertension medicines from our friends and partners. Many thanks to them. So these services will help us to improve the quality of life for people living with diabetes in Zimbabwe. Moreover, however, there are other challenges which are left unaddressed. We have physical, psychological support that people still need, because right now we still have some people still in denial, and we have lost so many lives due to these challenges. Access to insulin, which would promote people, would lead people to spend so much on transport bills and medical bills, thus insulin rationing. Also, another worrisome thing is the unaffordability of insulin, which is making many of our patients to resort or to retreat back to the initial insulin medication that the professionals would advise them against, due to in place of the modern medication that is now available with much greater potency. But because they are unaffordable, so people would have to resort to use back what they used to do back then. Moreover, or in addition, I have volunteered with T1 International, where we are advocating for insulin for all. And also, as a member of Africa Diabetes Alliance, we also get the resources to share to our people in our different communities, so people can have enough information and get encouraged with the help that we get. And also, occasionally, I'll be visiting the local hospital, where I'll be offering speaking with the children, encouraging them and inspiring them on different life skills, because we have achieved it and we are empowered. And so I thank you for listening.
Thank you, Tino, for that video call. Let's see if we can get you live. Are you online, and is the internet connection to Zimbabwe stable? Tino?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful. It's great to see you. Anything you want to add to your message?
Well, so my message, okay, fine. I just hope like we could keep on doing whatever that is we are doing, keep on supporting each other to make sure that awareness is really spread, and keep on advocating, and hopefully insulin for all will be realized in the times to come. So yeah, that is my only message. So let's keep up doing whatever that is we do to make sure that everyone else can feel our presence, and then we can change our communities for the greater benefit of what we are for. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Tino. And I can tell you that we at dedoc, we've been watching you and your association for quite a while. You're super active on Facebook. You're super active with your association and this African Diabetes Alliance that you've been starting. We have, of course, also with dedoc and dedoc Labs, we've been working quite a bit with the Life for a Child program that is working in not only in Africa, but throughout Africa, also in India, Pakistan, also in Mexico, to bring insulin to the most under-resourced countries in the world. As you may have followed, they recently underwent a huge expansion in the number of countries and the number of people they serve. And we have actually been very fortunate to have been working with Lily behind that to make that happen to some degree. We have been working with the program with Graham Ogle in Australia and some of the other partners. So again, also for you, I hope to see you on World Diabetes Day for our international edition, where all of these topics we will continue to discuss and bring up again. Thank you for joining us live from Zimbabwe. Good to see you, not only with the video, but that the connection is stable. That is really, really great. We go back to Pakistan and another new dedoc voice who just joined us. And as I said in the beginning, dedoc Voices Scholarship, 50% of the tickets are for people we have never met before. Sadia, we have never met before. You applied. We are very, very happy to have you not only as one of our dedoc voices at ATTD, but that you signed up immediately and without hesitation to present at Doc Day on what you do on female empowerment. Please go ahead. I look forward to your presentation. Sadia.
Assalamualaikum everyone, and hello everybody. Thank you so much. First of all, thank you so much, Bastian, the DOC team, the whole team, for inviting me to talk on women, the female empowerment. Okay, my name is Sadia Arshad, and I am a type 1 since last 13 years. And by profession, I am an architect, and I'm also volunteering as a diabetes advocate at Meethi Zindagi. So a little about Meethi Zindagi. Next slide, please. Meethi Zindagi is founded by Sanajmal. You may know her already. And it is basically a non-profitable organization that works for the people living with diabetes. And it has some major objectives which it is working vigorously for. One of them is advocacy, then awareness, and most important of all, it is working for the to provide insulin to the underprivileged children of Pakistan. Next slide. So about the woman, about the female empowerment and diabetes. Actually, it is a very sensitive topic, and it was selected and it was experienced by myself and by all the people who live in South Asian countries. As we already know that in South Asian countries, females are a little discriminated at times. And when a female is diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, so you can say that she is discriminated double. So a tag of HAW is attached to her, and it is very difficult for her to shed it. I have actually seen many people, many type 1 females on the in the diabetes clinic that I used to visit under an endocrinologist. Actually, a female once came and she insisted the doctor to please shift her from the insulin to medicines for some of the months because she was going to get married and her in-laws didn't knew about her diabetes, and because her family insisted not to tell them and all because it is considered taboo or some kind of disability. So these are real cases that I have seen, and also on the Facebook group of Meethi Zindagi that we have, we almost come up with every such case every month. that a female shares her story that she is discriminated and by her family even and by the society to get education or to get a career, proper career, and even to get married, because they think that female with type 1 diabetes or with diabetes is not able to get married, and even if she does, she will not be able to reproduce because of the type 1, and even if she does, she will transfer that type 1 diabetes to her kid. So all many myths, all myths and all misconceptions. So it was a very sensitive topic for us to address, and we do address it. Next slide, please. So why all this happens? All this is caused because of lack of awareness, lack of education, lack of the empathy in people, lack of their sensitivity towards the people who have diabetes, and lack of advocacy as well. Next slide, please. And all this, we literally have seen and experienced this, that because of all these issues, females do get in depression and anxiety, and they do have other mental issues. They do face them. Next slide. So, what being at the responsible position of in the Meethi Zindagi, what we do is we listen to them, and we motivate them to do two things. One is what you can do for yourself, and then the other thing is what you can do when others treat you this way. First is acceptance, that you have to accept your condition, because the way you see yourself is how people are going to see you. And the second one is when people say something to you or discriminate you this way, please do not just react. Act accordingly, aware them calmly, and advocate for yourself and for the other type ones that are around. So on this topic of stigma related to females, next slide please. We also had a DIA camp of Meethi Zindagi, first DIA camp of a virtual DIA camp of Meethi Zindagi in the month of April. It was basically addressing 3 issues and with 3 different audience. One of the audience was female only, and the topic was stigma associated with type 1 females. And in the end of the picture, in the end of that session, you can see this picture here. We considered the stigma as this blue balloon, and we busted it with our pens, like busting the bubble of stigma or the balloon of stigma. Okay, thank you so much.
Sadia, thank you very much. Super important topic, I believe. Super important, and great to see that you are addressing that through Meethi Zindagi. So I think this is great work you're doing, and very, very happy to see you as one of the dedoc voices and see you here on Doc Day presenting the work you do over there. We are going to a beautiful collaboration between Australia and France. Australia and France have been getting their acts together to translate the work behind Language Matters. And you have all seen the hashtag, you probably know what it stands for. But before I welcome Leonor and Nina from France, who have been translating the Language Matters position statement, I would like to hand over to Renza, who we've met before, for a very, very quick introduction on that. Renza.
Hi, everybody. I'm so thrilled that I'm not speaking about language today, because that's usually what I do. The Language Matters movement is truly global. It may have started down under, it's 10 years ago now, but let's not talk about that. Let's talk about one of the most recent position statements. Leonor, I'm throwing straight to you. Tell us all about Language Matters France.
Hi, everyone. And well, thank you, Renza. Thank you, Bastian, for inviting us at Doc Day. Yes, today I'm going to talk to you about language. Usually it's Renza's role, but today it's mine. So, well, the first thing I want to tell is a question, actually. Have you ever thought about the power of language? What if language had the power to hurt or to heal? Well, it does. Did you ever go to your endo appointment, for example, with this weird feeling of anxiety, worrying that you would get judged or blamed for your results? It's because the language, the verbal and body language used by health professionals has consequences on people with diabetes, their treatment, their results, but also their psychological well-being. In 2012, I think, Renza, who just talked with Diabetes Australia, launched the Language Matters movement. The idea is quite simple, actually. It's to adopt a more human and empathetic approach when talking about diabetes. This movement quickly grew, and I think all of you already know about it, but the recommendations were published not only in Australia, but also in the US, in UK, in Latin America, even in India. And when I discovered that this paper wasn't available in France, I decided that it was time to bring it to French-speaking people. And I reached out to the different authors of the different papers, to Renza, but also to all the people who translated it in the other countries. And I realized that someone else was actually interested in the project. And that's how we teamed up with Nina, who's going to talk just later after me. And we actually, we just decided to translate it, but also to adapt it to the French situation, to the situation in France, the specificities that we have. And we also gathered testimonies from people from French-speaking countries to actually make it more reliable. And then we presented it and got support from the big French nonprofit organization. And finally, we published it last November as Language Matters France. And it was actually quite shared and a great success because it was the first time that we talk about language and diabetes in France. So just to sum up Language Matters, I'm actually going to quote Renza because she's still the one who talks the best about it. Language Matters is not about tone policing people with diabetes. We can talk about our health condition any way we want. It is about highlighting how when speaking to and about us, it is far better to use words that instead of blaming and judging us, help us feel positive and empowered about our diabetes. The goal is just to refocus the conversation on the person and not on the pathology. It's a humanist philosophy, which in the end, I think should be adopted by the entire health system, not just by diabetes care. Nina, can you tell us a bit more maybe about the different documents that we published and where we can find it?
Next slide, please. Thank you, Lena. So Language Matters came into my life at a moment when I wasn't happy with my relationship with my endo. So I think we had a serious communication problem. And so after working on Language Matters, I just changed endo for someone happier and more helpful. So if you're looking for the document, you can find it on our both website, Diabetopol and Type 1 Family. And if you want to look at all the several translations, it's on the website of Language Matters in diabetes.com. The document has, the French version has three objectives. The first one is to raise awareness about the fact that humane and empathic communication is essential in the relationship between people with diabetes and healthcare professionals. The second objective, I believe, is through the recommendations to bring back love and compassion in diabetes care. And finally, I think that the aim is also to empower people with diabetes and to make them active patients in their diabetes treatment, because you deserve to be heard, you deserve to be respected, and you deserve to be informed. However, I see a few limits to the document. So I would like to share with you two ideas of development. The first one, I think the document in France, I hope could be discussed with healthcare professionals, because we're talking about the way we discuss with them during our appointments, for example. So I think it should be great to discuss this with them. So I hope we can have one day, I don't know, a conference and a discussion all together about how can we improve the communication between us. And the second idea of development, I regret that the document doesn't mention any thing about the communication within the diabetes community itself, because there is discrimination and there is miscommunication between people within the community, for example, between people with type 1 and type 2 type 1 and type 2 diabetes. So I think it's important to bring back love and compassion within the community itself. Next slide, please. So last but not least, in the next slide, I would like to remind you that language matters in your country too. So take a look at the documents on the websites and translate it and make the movement bigger. Thank you.
Renza, Nina, Leonor, thank you very much. I love the fact that Language Matters is now not only going international, but it's also going into different languages. I know how, because it has been published in other countries in English, but translating it to different languages is so important. I know how difficult it is. We've been looking at it in German, and even the most basic things like translating or moving language from talking about diabetics to person with diabetes, in German it's very hard to do. I can imagine in French it is difficult to do, or maybe there's other issues that, you know, different languages work differently also in terms of culture. And it's sometimes it's not just that easy to apply the same mindset, spirit, idea, as important it is, and as much as we agree to it, to a different language, because it gets into the way and then it starts sounding funny. But it is very important to have these conversations. It's not, as you were saying in the end, maybe it's not only about the words that we use, but it's about having that conversation and the messages that come across through that. So thank you very much. I'm sure this was a lot of work. I love the fact that you're teaming up, and I hope that other countries and other languages will follow to do so. We now move to Bruno. Bruno is a great patient advocate, diabetes advocate. He is joining us in a double capacity today because Bruno also now works for IDF Global. Bruno, I think you will start with your IDF Global hat on and talk about something very big and official and global indeed, which is the WHO Global Diabetes Compact. And then you have something else to share as Bruno. So take it away.
Thank you very much, Bastian. Thank you very much for the whole diabetes community and dedoc for having me. It's a huge pleasure. So to begin with, I would like to apologize in advance for all the airplane noise that you'll be hearing on the background. I live really close to airport, so yeah. So I'm here today speaking on behalf of IDF about the Global Diabetes Compact. We have been hearing a lot of noise on the past year, and especially on the couple last weeks about the Global Diabetes Compact and the World Health Assembly. Bastian, if you could please move. So what is it? The idea of the Global Diabetes Compact, and it's important to highlight, is not something that started today. It started back in 2006, and has been developing throughout the years through different WHO or UN mechanisms. So we have the Sustainable Development Goals, we have the high-level meetings, and then now we have the Global Diabetes Compact, which it's expected to be a more straightforward approach, focus not only on policies to improve and increase care, access, and treatment for people living with diabetes, but also the way it's shaped and the way it's developed. It also puts people people living with diabetes and people with lived experience, because we need to also take into consideration care supporters into the center of the equation. Next, please. So it has mainly 6 components. I won't cover each of them one by one. I'm happy to connect later if you want to know more about it. But I just would like to highlight the price tag and the price transparency. I believe it's important that everyone involved, especially people living with diabetes, understand how year by year diabetes supplies or diabetes medication get more expensive. So we need to understand where this price comes from and how can we change and guarantee not only affordability but also accessibility to healthcare treatment and to healthcare supplies. Next, please. So, as I said, what is different from this one before? I believe that the Global Diabetes Compact has a more straightforward and action-oriented, documented, and also the way it's shaped and the way has been developed, guarantee that people living with diabetes and people with lived experience on diabetes not only being included on the conversation, but they have been co-creating throughout the mechanism. Next, please. So we, in April, if I'm not mistaken, we had the WHO informal consultation on people living with diabetes. We have like a lot of familiar faces joining us. And I believe it was the first time that WHO sat in the same level and had a face-to-face conversation on which we weren't just part of drafting the agenda and suggesting the speakers and the co-chairs, but also I saw and heard a humble tone coming from them and understanding and listening, deeply listening to us, and that reflects also on the Global Diabetes Summit that follow in May. Next, please. So before to end, I think that we do all the opportunities that we are facing right now. So we have the insulin centenary, we have the launch of the diabetes, the Global Diabetes Compact. We have the openness of the WHO listening to us. Last week on the 74th World Health Assembly, there was approved by consensus a memorandum that just guarantee and push the member states to develop specific targets to the diabetes approach worldwide. But unfortunately, WHO and International Diabetes Federation and other like global organizations, they don't have the mandate. In the end of the day, it's up to the member states accountability to guarantee that all those commitments, all those volunteers' commitments are put into practice. And this is when the real fight starts. All of that would be like tokenism without us, people living with diabetes, pushing our local governments, our national governments to turn nice words, beautiful words into practice, into actions that will change life of millions living with diabetes. So thank you very much.
Bruno, thank you for that. And I thought this whole process behind the Global Diabetes Compact, not just the result, but the process behind and this amazing involvement of people with diabetes from around the world, many of them coming through the Young Leaders Program of IDF, through the Youth Leadership Lab of IDF Europe, through many patient organizations from around the world. I think this is what Bente Mikkelsen, the global chair of the NCD department and WHO, who I've had several meetings with through different organizations as well. I love the fact that she was such a strong advocate for bringing people with diabetes on board, making sure their voices are heard in the process of developing this important document, which will now go further and inform guidelines, clinical guidelines globally, etc. So it is a great initiative. Without saying more about that, there's a key message you had as Bruno. Bruno, take off your IDF hat. Please keep it short because we are running over time. We started so late and things always tend to drag on, but this is an important call. Bruno, on your own behalf.
Thank you very much. So besides my role at IDF, I'm also the founder of Running for Diabetes, Correndo pelo Diabetes. It's a Brazilian non-profit organization. And we have been discussing here about the challenge that people living with diabetes are facing, especially of not being able to vaccinate or not being able to access diabetes essential supplies. But here in Brazil, we are facing indescribable moment when people are literally starving. They are not being able to buy or access food. So I'm here begging for your support to spread the word, to make a donation. So our goal is to fundraise around 42K reais, so the Brazilian currency, which do the current exchange is like around $8,000. So counting the Zoom meeting, the YouTube and the Facebook event, we have over like 100 people. So each $30 you'll be contributing to a family living with diabetes under vulnerability to be able to literally put food into their plate. So I'm here with my open heart begging for your support, because we are not talking, and it's not, I'm saying it's not important, it's all important part, but we are not saying about like diabetes supplies, we are not talking about vaccine, we are talking literally by food. So thank you very much, Bastian, thank you very much the dedoc community for giving me this space.
Thank you, Bruno, and thank you for the work you do. And for those who have had too little time to see that now on screen here at Doc Day, the dedoc account at dedoc.de, the Twitter account, we will be posting that slide out there very, very soon, so you can find it and maybe consider if you want to make a donation to those families out there in Brazil. COVID has hit the whole world, of course, and we could probably post these kind of calls for many, many countries, many, many families, thousands of people with diabetes. And here's the thing, we will. If you send us something, we will look at it and we will share. This is what peer support is also about. Now, moving on. I said in the beginning, dedoc Doc Days started in Sweden, in Stockholm in 2015 with EASD, and we're now going to Sweden to welcome Sarah Mobak. How are you?
Hi, I'm totally fine here in Sweden, in Stockholm, and I wanted to start with, like, I'm so incredibly grateful to be invited to this amazing event and this day today. And my name is Sarah, and I have the Sweden's biggest blogs about type 1 diabetes, where my focus is mainly on the mental health and diabetes and diabetes and eating disorders, when I myself was affected a few years ago. So type 1 diabetes are at a heightened risk for mental health issues, including depressions, anxiety, diabetes, distress, and burnout, as well as eating disorders. And this is the topic I will be speaking about for today, like diabetes and mental health. It is scary when you read all about this, and that it is so important that we do something about it. It is, of course, important that research is ongoing for the development of technical aids, but that's not like the only thing. For all healthcare to be effective, it must include mental health and well-being. It doesn't matter if you have all the technical devices in the world, if you still cannot manage your mental health, right? Even if a diabetic has a good A1C, how does the healthcare people know if the person is well if you don't ask for it? This is where it lacks, in my opinion. It should be as obvious a part to ask as it is to measure the A1C, for example. The patient meets the healthcare people during a very, very small part of the life. Therefore, you must manage your diabetes yourself. And then it's so important that the healthcare people don't just look at the curves, values, A1C, your feet, and the eyes, for example. Mental health must be included. It has to be a good balance between the mental health and the diabetes. And for the last part, we can't forget about the quality of life, because even with a chronic disease like diabetes, we can still make a really good and valuable life. We must make sure that the soul is in a good condition, addition to all curves and values. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Very important point, and good to see you back here at Doc Day. Thank you for presenting. I couldn't agree more about the importance of mental health, especially when it affects mostly young women then with diabetes and eating disorders, or any other kind of cross, I don't even want to call it complications, but when one chronic disease mixes with another one, I know what I'm talking about. I have several chronic diseases as well. It gets even harder no matter what it is, and it does affect mental well-being, etc. So thank you for raising awareness through this, through your blog and your Instagram. You are a true influencer in that sense of the world in Sweden, in that sense of the word, sorry, in Sweden. Thank you for doing all you do. Our last guest from the community, and then we have something very, very special for you. Our last guest from the community, we go again once around the world, back out of Europe, back to Australia, and I am very, very happy to welcome Leon Tribe, and you're going to share a special recipe with us.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks, Bastian, and thank you for everything you're doing. It's fantastic the work you've done and giving us all the opportunity. I see you as the graceful swan on the surface, and of course underneath is Hannah, madly paddling, making this all look beautiful and smooth. But that's not what I'm here. I'm here to talk about making sugar-free sugar syrup. I'm the circuit breaker. There's been some fantastic noble causes and discussions had, and I don't have any of those today. I'm talking about how to make sugar syrup. So I'll start with how I started the journey, and that was with this book. So now, I am Australian, which means I speak fast. Don't worry, it is a short talk, so I'm not going to speak slowly, but I will be providing links to this in the Facebook discussion chat underneath the thing. So this is the book that all started it. This is Better Cocktails Through Chemistry. This is written by a type 1 who liked cocktails. And he was lamenting the fact that a lot of cocktails got a lot of sugar and with alcohol, and alcohol is quite tricky if you're an insulin-independent diabetic. So he took the sugar out of it. So he's made all cocktails. That got me on the path of making sugar-free limoncello, which I now do at Christmas. And I do that. And I used to use a product called Splenda, which is a commercial product. But because of COVID, it just wasn't in the supermarket. I couldn't find it. And so I had to scratch my head, had to get creative. And then I found on Amazon, rather than getting sucralose, rather than getting Splenda, which is a mix of a product called sucralose, which is really, really sweet, but you don't need a lot of it, and dextrose, which is problematic, can be problematic for diabetics anyway, because it can spike sugar. I found I could get pure sucralose, and that's what this is. So this is pure sucralose. This was a product that was discovered in 1976 by a couple of chemists who were looking at modified glucose, and they were just looking at the properties. And basically one of them said, "Oh, I've created this new molecule. I've created this product," and the other guy said, "Oh, you should test it." And English being what it is, he misheard, and he said, "You should taste it." And so literally, much to the horror of the other chemist, he put his finger in and tasted it. It was really, really sweet. And that was the birth of sucralose. This little bag, I'm going to put a link for the 50-gram bag. This is the 100-gram bag. This is equivalent to 100 cups of sugar. That's how sweet this stuff is, hundreds of times sweeter than sugar. So the other thing you need to make sugar syrup is you'll need a little spoon like this, which is a one, and then you can do it. The other thing you'll need is some kind of pump like this. So this is actually a sugar-free syrup which ran out. And then what you do, and again, I'll post this recipe in the discussion, is you get a cup of water. You put 1/8 of a teaspoon of this in the water which you heat up in a pot. Once it's dissolved, which will be very quick, you cool it down, you put it in the pump, and that is literally the recipe, right? So it was a long talk for a very quick recipe. 1/8 of the sucralose, a cup of water, cool it down, you put in the pump, and this just acts like sugar. I use this every day for my coffee, and it works a treat. Sucralose is largely invisible to the body. The body doesn't really see it as food, so it goes straight through your body, doesn't cause intestinal distress or anything. And yeah, it's just a nice, easy way to make sugar syrup. As I say, I'm about to post the recipe in the chat, so obviously that went quite quick. And thank you again, Bastian, and have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, Leon. And you know, the reason we always like having you is, I mean, we don't do commercials or something like that on Doc Day, but with you it's always so funny because you come up with something strange. I remember first and last time I saw you on Doc Day, you took off your kind of hair bandana, something I could use now, but you used it for something completely different. You took it off, you cut it, turned it around and said, look, this actually becomes a cooling device for your insulin if you live in a place like Australia where it's really, really hot. And everybody was like, that's a good trick. And it was because it was some fleece material or etc. So it seems that every year you come up with a new, crazy, funky idea, and sometimes you turn it into a business, sometimes you just show it, but it comes from the heart, it comes from someone. This is also patient entrepreneurial spirit. So thank you for coming up with another idea of how to make, and I love cocktails, of course. So I wanted to end with that. Thank you very much, Leon.
All right.
And
thanks, Bastian.
Now we have the last bit of Doc Day. Sorry for being a bit delayed, so I'll be very, very quick. This refers to something that was mentioned before by two of our speakers already, the Blue Balloon Challenge. This is actually an initiative started by our partner Medtronic. In Germany, we were their community partner, and before talking about it, let's just watch the video of this beautiful diabetes awareness campaign, and then I'll hand over to Mirai Kaimas, who is the European Director for Marketing here in Europe. But let's start with watching that beautiful video of the Blue Balloon Challenge. Hanne, please play.
Type 1 diabetes. It's like you do everything you do in daily life, but while keeping a balloon in the air. It's a complex thing to explain, even to the people who know us best. Balancing the ups and downs of life with diabetes, it can be challenging. We all have our own ways of living with diabetes. And most of us handle it so well that it's invisible to others. Type 1 diabetes is always there, and it's time we start talking about it. Together, we can make a difference.
So, thank you so much, Bastian, for this great introduction. And I haven't heard the voice, but I'm sure in the streaming event, the watchers have seen it. So I just wanted to take a few minutes to really give a background on what has triggered this idea on our side as Medtronic. So as part of our work, we interact with a lot of people that live with type 1 diabetes, that have different demographic groups, that come from different cultures and different geographies. And as part of those interactions, there has been one and very consistent pattern and a pain point that we had been seeing. And this has to do with the education levels and awareness levels in the bigger society about diabetes. We know that within type 1 diabetes, there is, and especially thanks to community leaders, there is a lot of patient education, patient voice happening. But in the outer society, in general, people know very few about the diabetes disease. They don't know what is diabetes. They don't know what are the types of diabetes, what causes diabetes. And as a result, people living with diabetes are subject to stereotypes, misjudgments, and questions like, oh, because you have eaten bad and didn't take care of yourself, that's why you have diabetes. So our takeaway from all the stories is that yes, research, development, therapy innovation, all those activities are the #1 focus area and the core of diabetes care, because this is how we see biggest quality of life changes within the community. And on top of that, there are incremental ways to improve the quality of life for people living with diabetes. And this is through public education, public awareness, so that the community, diabetes community, feel understood. They feel understood in terms of how it is to live with the disease. So this is the why we have created the Blue Balloon Challenge. It is still going on in Europe, and actually very rapidly it is spreading to other regions like in the US, in Latin America. Some of the Asia Pacific countries are adopting it. So if you have access to a blue balloon, fill it up and join the movement, because the louder the voices, especially of communities, the easier we build this kind of awareness and education activities. So with this, I don't want to take a lot of time. I feel so privileged and so happy to be in this community and in this gathering. And thank you so much for having me.
Mira,
Bastian,
thank you.
I'll hand it over to you.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you also for not running this campaign as many companies would usually do, just by choosing a big agency and then putting it on your own channels. You chose in almost every country where you were running this campaign at least one, sometimes several diabetes patient organizations as at least partners. And in Germany, you reached out to dedoc and you asked us whether we could really co-create this with you. We have a separate landing page. We sent together with Medtronic 50,000 blue balloons to people in your database, but also people in our Diversity project, which is a program that we have launched on World Diabetes Day 2 years ago. If you don't know it, it is only available in Germany now, but it will be going international very, very soon. We send out this blue circle pin here that you all know, the symbol for diabetes worldwide. In Germany, we send this to everyone who signs up on the Diversity project on the day of their diabetes diagnosis, be it 5 years after, 7 years after, 29 years after. I think the oldest participant has had diabetes for more than 70 years, if I remember. I can't even imagine how that works. But the Diversity project is collecting addresses and we're sending these pins on the day of the jubilee of the diabetes anniversary, the diagnosis anniversary, type 1 or type 2, by the way. And with that, we've been partnering with Medtronic and we've been sending out these 50,000 blue balloons, and it was so much fun. The campaign itself runs internationally on Instagram, and Steffi, who recently joined dedoc Labs to replace Maren and to help us with community management and social media, Steffi joined us, and Steffi will show a little bit of what happened in the community by community leaders, by people with diabetes promoting the Blue Balloon Challenge. Steffi.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for having me as well as part of the dedoc team. Yes, I just want to really close today with a huge thank you to everyone who's been involved and who's taken part in the Blue Balloon Challenge, and of course to Medtronic for choosing us as a partner. We very much focused on the German market. We also kind of made it our own because we focused on diabetes as a whole, regardless of type. And we saw some really, really great posts from the community. And I've just picked a few of them. You see babies. Thank you, Lisa, for having little Lotte join the Blue Balloon Challenge this early in her life. I'm sure there are going to be many, many more balloon and diabetes photos in her future. But you see a lot of different posts here, and these are just very few. So I really urge you to visit our Instagram account. So we've taken this opportunity of this challenge to actually finally launch dedoc on Instagram as well. So you can find us at dedoc_de for our German account, which is where all of the balloon magic was happening throughout the past few weeks, and dedoc_org for our international account, where you can obviously see a lot of Doc Day and dedoc Voices content as well. And this call goes out to everyone who's watching right now. Please do feel free to still take part in the challenge. Get a balloon. I've got one right here. As Bastian said, we sent up 50,000 of them, but there's also a lot of opportunity on Instagram. So there's a story filter, there are story stickers. Get creative and surprise us with your posts, because the ones we've seen so far are amazing, and we want to say thank you for that.
And please tag the German, the German or the international Insta account if you do so, and maybe nominate a couple of friends. You know, all the dynamics you know from social media to make sure the balloon keeps on flying. And in the meantime, we will be working with Medtronic on continuing or relaunching that campaign, maybe around World Diabetes Day. So watch this space, watch #BlueBalloonChallenge. I'm sure we can make this work again or make it fly even better. With that, we're already at the end of Doc Day. Already we're 3 minutes behind, although we started 10 minutes late. So I'm very happy. This is very rare for me that we finish on time. If you've been with dedoc, if you've been with us, with me for a while, you know we tend to go overtime quite a bit. But we managed to even make up some of the time lost in the beginning due to the tech issues. So all good. I am left with a whole lot of thank yous, and I'm definitely going to miss a couple. Let me start going back to with what we started with, the dedoc voices. I want to say thank you to the 25 selected dedoc voices and to our alumni currently at ATTD. They have been following Doc Day, but they will now run over to ATTD, which is starting right now as we speak, and they will continue to tweet and to Instagram and to blog, etc. They will translate what they hear into whichever language. We have tweets going out in German, French, English, Russian, Arabic, whatever. They will translate what is relevant. They will translate to lay language. They will make sure that everybody of you out there watching Doc Day right now, everybody in the community who is not so fortunate to have access to ATTD can almost feel as if you're there, because like I said, yesterday the tweets went out 1 every 30 seconds, so it's almost as if you're live at some of these sessions. And just follow #dedoc on Twitter. That's probably the easiest way, or read some of the blog posts that will come out over the next couple of days. Wherever, you know, be it on Instagram. I think some are even on TikTok. I've never used that, but hey, they are doing an amazing job. So I want to thank the dedoc voices. With that, I would like to thank once again Tadej and Moshe Philip, the two chairpersons of ATTD, and the conference organizers themselves, or everybody who's been working behind to make this work. But of course, also our partners, our sponsors. Most of all, that is this year, the DCB, the Diabetes Center Bern, who introduced in the very beginning, because they are joining us for the full year as our community strategic partner. And Medtronic, we just had them present their Blue Balloon Challenge. They are also sponsoring, supporting the dedoc Voices program. One word on that maybe, because you know sometimes we are being, not we specifically, but sometimes patient organizations are being, I don't want to say criticized, maybe challenged on working together with partners in industry. I am very open to working with partners all over the world, regardless where they are from. And the reason is very simple. If you want something like this to work, if we want people with diabetes to attend conference, we will need some sort of funding for that. And money doesn't fall from the sky. And dedoc certainly doesn't have money. dedoc is not a proper organization, right? Just for you to understand, dedoc for many years has been me, myself, and I was running a shipyard. I build boats, okay? This is not my main job here. dedoc needs money so we can send people with diabetes to these conferences. And while now this is maybe a bit easier and we've been able to scale internationally because it's only virtual, it still costs money. We have several cameras set up here, we have lighting, we have a proper studio, we have 2 producers, we have our strategic Morton guy who is just the mastermind behind making this all work. You know, people need to get paid, and that's perfectly normal. And the most important thing is, the dedoc Voices Scholarship Program was designed for real conferences, and we're going back there. COVID will pass. So the dedoc Voices Scholarship Program is there to pay diabetes advocates their flights, their hotel, their food, get us a room inside the conference with a flip chart, everything we need, so we can do this again. And I really, really, really want this program to continue, to be sustainable, and to stay and this is why we work with partners. So I would also like to say thank you to all the others who are currently supporting, who have been supporting in the past, who will continue, hopefully, to support us when we go back to live conferencing, and to all the others who I hope will join us in the future. So you just saw them on the slides. This is Tandem in Dexcom for this year as well. This was Novo Nordisk and Diabeloop and Ascensia in the past. Lilly as well in a different form because we've been working with them. They're more a client of dedoc Labs, which is the company that is organizing everything that dedoc is doing. I'll stop at that. Thank you everybody who has been watching this. I love the fact that there's so many who are watching live. There will be many, I assume, who will be watching this afterwards. We will promise to do a better job this year of cutting all these videos down and making them available on our YouTube channel so that they're cut down by topic and you can find them much easier. We've learned a lot over this COVID year, so you will find all the content there. And last but not least, thank you to my amazing team. I'll start with Hanne in the back. Hanne, thank you. Without you, none of this would be possible. Hanne did an amazing job over the last week. Thank you to Steffi, who you've briefly seen. She's over in Berlin, for being here, for answering some of the questions on Facebook, for running the Blue Balloon Challenge from the dedoc site. Thank you to the team here at Joint in Copenhagen and Denmark, from Louis in the back, the producer, the camera guys, Morten, Frederike, and everybody who I'm probably missing. Thank you to Jamaica. If you don't know who Jamaica is my beautiful little terrier dog, and she's currently waiting for me on my boat and can't wait to see me back. So thank you, Jamaica, for waiting for me. And last but not least, and then I close, the rest of the program. Follow hashtag DDoc for ATTD. Join us for Doc Night. Doc Night will be on Saturday. You will find the link and the registration on the website, dedoc.org. It's not live yet. We'll hope to have it online tomorrow because we're switching to a new platform. It will be exciting. We found a new, really cool online platform for Doc Night. And if you don't know what Doc Night is, I'm not going to tell you. Come by. It's fun. It's fun. Trust me. Doc Night on Saturday. dedoc.org, and there will be a link /docnight live as of, I think, tomorrow. And then I hope to see you again for EASD, for ISPAD, for our next 2 doc days planned for September and October. And then, as I said, for the 3 big doc days around World Diabetes Day on the 14th of November. In Germany, the virtual World Diabetes Day, Weltdiabetestag.de is the domain if you're in Germany and speak German. The European edition in partnership with IDF Europe. We look forward to working with them. And then the international edition on access to care and insulin for all. I talked about that in the opening statement. If you want to participate in any way, please reach out. We look forward to you. This was Doc Day. This is DDoc. Thank you. Goodbye. Enjoy ATTD and the rest of your day, night, afternoon, evening. See you soon.